Okay, good evening, everybody. It is Monday, March 10th, 2025 at 5:30 p.m. and I'll call to order the Freetown Board of Selectmen meeting. This meeting will be recorded and will be available on the town's YouTube page. We are going to go a little bit out of order today. We're waiting for Selectman Lopes. He's stuck in traffic. So we're going to go for the agenda item 2. This is discussion and vote whether to approve the agreement between the town of Freetown and Greenman Pedersen Inc. GPI for survey, site planning, procurement, and construction services for improvements for existing walkways and walls by the front entrance to Freetown Elementary School.
Yeah, so if you remember at the last town meeting, we had an article on the town meeting to do some improvements at the elementary school, and one of them was to fix the apron, which is brick and it's all uneven.
Yeah.
Time sort of ran out because by the time we got the funding at town meeting and I had to do all the procurement, I think there were 6 projects we did procurement for last summer for the school that I just couldn't award that contract. So when it came up again this year, we still have the funding in the article. When I met with Greg Goodwin and Principal Ward and Mr. Higgins, they were then talking about the retaining wall and that they need to remove that, and it became a much bigger project. So I said, this is beyond my scope of just putting out a bid for putting down some concrete. So I decided to ask GPI to do a plan so that and put it out to bid so that we all are on the same page of what's going to be done there and get comparable bids to do the work. So this is his contract to do that. It can be paid for out of the article funds. Once we get a bid, if we're short, we have $100,000 left in the article. Originally, we had thought that project would cost $80,000. So we're close to whether we have enough funding, but you'll see if we're short, I'll come in with an article to supplement that at the special town meeting using free cash that we have available. So this is the work just to get that done.
Yeah,
and get
the
it
first
up to
step, so
yeah.
12,800 is what we
Yep.
for this particular one. All right, sounds reasonable. Any questions or concerns?
No, so real quick, it's just you're saying now we're gonna remove that wall and redo that whole wall and everything that width around it, yeah.
So they all met. I didn't get to the meeting. I forgot. I would have been in union negotiations or somewhere else. So I had Greg and Chuck, the principal, all go out and decide what. And they met the engineering. They met him out there. So they're all on the same page. I'll get looped in when I see the plans. But yeah, I think there's issues with that wall, and whether it. I think they're gonna take it out and take out all of the fill.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, no, just curiosity. Very good. But beyond that, it's, step in the right direction.
All right, so with that, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agreement between the town of Freetown and GPI for the survey, site planning, procurement, construction services, and improvements for the existing sidewalks and walls by the front entrance of the Freetown Elementary School.
Motion made?
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. And then agenda item 3, discussion and vote whether to approve the amendment 1 to the agreement between the town of Freetown and GPI for survey and site planning services for the proposed expansion of the existing COA site.
So this is an amendment to the original contract for the vestibule and the pod here. This is phase 2, which is the whole parking lot now. We need to extend the parking lot. We need to level it and make it more ADA accessible. We're talking about going right almost to the street, bringing in some fill, leveling it, building a retaining wall by the street. So this GPI will do that site work plan for me, and then we'll have to get a price for that because we are out of funding that we allocated for the pod itself. We'll have to go back to town meeting and either reallocate more of their money that they have set aside or ask for more money. My guess is we're gonna be probably in the $125,000 range to do the whole parking lot and re-asphalt it, because it all has to be dug up.
Fine, probably, I'm sure, I don't know.
And bring in a bunch of fill.
Yeah.
And then level it, and then they want a patio sort of between the pod and the front of this building. And Chuck's gonna be on board to do as much of it as he can. But this is the next step in that project.
Okay. And so for this planning, it's 4,000
Yeah.
and additional, yeah.
And that committee's on board with everything, with what we're doing, this next steps, and they
I'll have
know.
them meet with them, but yeah,
Okay.
this has always been sort of the next step.
Yeah,
we're gonna move the entrance, you know how it's kind of now it's kind of like a tight
Mhm.
corner when you pull in here.
Mhm.
So,
Okay. Thank you. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to approve Amendment 1 to the agreement between the Town of Freetown and GPI for survey and site planning services for the proposed expansion of the COA. Second.
Motion made.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Alright, agenda item 4, discussion and vote whether to declare the 1994 International Fire Engine as surplus and then decide what to do with the vehicle. So we have the recommendation here, to put it on Munici bid,
Mhm.
the starting bid of $5,000.
The
That's
fire
crazy.
chief-
I wonder how
the
much we
fire
paid
chief
for
said
this.
it had an engine block is cracked and it has 37,500 miles on it.
It doesn't seem like a lot,
no.
but maybe it is a lot for a fire engine.
I don't know, it's a 1994, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've got
Ooh,
we've got our monies out of it, so.
yeah,
I think $5,000 is reasonable because you can't go too low because the price of scrap, someone could just, we could take it and turn it into scrap for more. So I think 5,000 is a fair amount.
I am confident that if Harry could do something with this, he would.
yeah, 100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah, a cracked engine block on a 1994 fire engine is probably not the cheapest thing to address. Yeah, agenda item 4, Carlos, and we're talking about to declare this fire truck surplus. It's got a block, a hole cracked in the block, and it's not worth saving.
No, I heard the tail end of the conversation. I agree. If Harry thought this could be saved, he would.
Yep.
So, reading the follow up on it, yeah, I agree.
All right, so with that, I'll entertain a motion to declare the 1994 International Fire Engine as surplus and to list it on Munici bid with a starting bid of $5,000.
Motion made.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Why don't we just kind of bang out the rest of this and then we can circle back? Does that work with you? Okay.
Sure.
I don't see anything here that's gonna take a ton of time.
Mhm.
Right, and if something does take too much time, then we'll pass on it, come back to it. All right, next, agenda item 5 is the vehicle use process, so this is discussion and vote whether to approve the vehicle use process.
I didn't get it back.
So we have submitted this to town council as we do with all our policies, and we have not gotten it back yet, so I don't know if you wanna hold for his recommendations,
Yeah,
Yes.
that
so
makes
you can
sense.
pass that.
I'm sure it's gotta be a tricky one, there's probably lots of things we're not thinking about, you know, but it looks pretty comprehensive.
Yeah, I mean, and we're, you know, because now we have so many new vehicles, we have a lot of, personnel driving them, never had a policy in place, it's time.
Okay. All right, so then with that, we'll pass on 5, and I'll move on to agenda item 6. Discussion and vote whether to approve the ambulance abatements and write-offs for February 2025 in the sum of $176,757.87. Any questions or concerns?
No.
All right, so with that, and we actually collected 59,000, just for the record. So,
I am getting some more details from the chief from our budget discussions about our collections and what we're not collecting, and you'll have more information moving forward about this.
yeah, this is just one of those old school broken systems
Yeah.
that I think everyone, it's crazy. Like, I think we'd be fighting insurance companies, if anything, right?
Yeah, like Medicare is only gonna pay you, if they charge $2,500 for an ambulance run, Medicare pays $500, we write off the other 2,000, because otherwise, you know, it's hard to collect, and,
But we set the prices, right?
yeah, we set the prices, and it is around 2,500 an ambulance run.
Okay. All right, nothing we can do about that right now, so, with that, I'll entertain a motion to approve the ambulance abatements and write-offs for February 2025.
Motion made.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Might wanna skip 7 for now.
Oh, yep, let's come back to 7. All right, agenda item 8, discussion and vote whether to approve and sign the recall provision disclosure and consent letter from KP Law.
So this is just that both towns, if you recall, town of Lakeville and town of Freetown are looking to get a recall provision for the school committee members. So where both towns are wanting to draft this and use the same town council,
We need to,
they're just looking for permission to work with both towns, so they're gonna split the cost between the two towns. So this is just agreeing to that.
yep, any questions or concerns on that?
No.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I figured this would be coming. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to approve and sign the recall provision disclosure and consent letter from KP Law.
A motion made?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Perfect. Alright, and now agenda item 9, discussion of vote to adopt the warrant for the April 7th, 2025 annual local town election and direct the town clerk to have said warrant duly advised and posted in accordance with the bylaws of the town of Freetown and the laws of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And do we have the actual thing? No, we don't. Is there usually a actual motion you want me to specifically?
So I did include, proposed motion on
you.
the bottom of the initial memo.
I
And then you
appreciate
should have a
that.
hard copy of the warrant to be signed.
Awesome. You have that, yeah. Is there anyone questions or concerns on this? Think
No.
we know? Still unopposed?
Yes. No.
That's the best, isn't it? Okay, so I hereby move.
A complete ballot would be the best.
Yeah, exactly. I hereby move the Board of Selectmen adopt the warrant for the April 7th, 2025 annual local election and direct the town clerk to have said warrant duly advertised and posted in accordance with the bylaws of the town of Freetown and the laws of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Do I have a motion?
Motion made.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, great. Thank you, Cheryl. Okay. I don't think, yeah. So now we will jump back to agenda item 1. This is interview with town planner finalist Nancy Durfee. So Nancy, if you want to step on up,
Sure.
I think right there.
Yeah. Have a seat.
All right, thank you very much.
You're in the hot seat now.
I
and
do
that's-
feel it too.
Yeah.
I'm a little nervous. I've never interviewed in front of a board before like this, so yeah, this is new for me.
It is a kind of an interesting thing that we have to do. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you though.
Well,
Thank
it's
you
good
so
practice
much.
though, because you're
It
gonna have to
is.
come from the board on other different occasions. So
Absolutely. Well, I thank you so much for having me here tonight.
absolutely,
Truly do.
we appreciate it.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So we had the opportunity to obviously review your CV here, resume, and there's a lot there. So I guess for the people at home, do you want to just kind of give a high level elevator pitch about yourself and your background?
Sure. I started planning back in the 2000s. I got my start at SERPID, which is the Southeastern Regional Planning and Economic Development District. I was fortunate enough to work on on the South Coast Rail project for one. It was something I spent 99.9% of my time on. And I just had to stop for the rail going by. And I mean, literally, I was like, this is coming full circle.
Yeah.
Right here, right now. And there was a time when we thought even, sometime around 2012 where we thought it might not happen still. Because there was so much concern surrounding having a rail come to communities and the growth that it entailed, we did do priority protection and priority development. And I think that project was a thing that gave me, if you're a planner or in any position that you find yourself in and you get goosebumps when you get to that moment where you've got an opportunity to do something very rare and unusual, that was it for me. I was able to design the look of how each community may decide how they wish to see their community grow and where they'd like to see protection occur. And I got to do that in 27 communities in the South Coast. So I got very intimate because we wanted to definitely do this as a bottom-up approach. And I'd mirror that with the very top-down approach that is currently occurring from our Massachusetts legislation. So
Quite the opposite.
it's quite the opposite. And so that was probably one of my aha moments. But then I learned that I enjoyed grant writing and getting funding to do various projects, plans, within the communities themselves. At the regional planning agency, you sometimes don't get to push anything forward, right? It's, I do the plan, I give it over, and then, you know, it may or may not be implemented. But as a local planner, that is where you get the opportunity to help with the plans, and then you help to guide the implementation of them. They're not written in stone, nor should they be, but you should be able to morph and change as things change on the ground. Because who would have anticipated COVID, and how to plan for that? So those types of things you have to be be able to change with the things that are changing on the ground. And I think I've been able to do that in my role in various positions, and I've definitely had great opportunities. I can't say that one is better than the other, but I have to say I've had, you know, the opportunity to serve communities in a capacity that I think is most helpful.
Great. Yeah, I mean, we are obviously anticipating changes when the train actually starts to run, right? And I don't want to be in a position where that, you know, we were not prepared properly, which, you know, we're getting really close. It starts like next week,
Yeah.
right? But there's still opportunity, I think, to plan in the right way so that, you know, the mistakes of other similar towns are not made here, right? If we can, anything we can do to prevent those kind of mistakes from being made. But, you know, as you mentioned, the top-down approach that the state is taking right now, it's kind of made that whole process maybe a little more difficult.
Mm-hmm.
But we're working with what we got. So, you want to speak about any certifications that you hold?
So when I was working with Bristol County Agricultural High School, I did a lot of educational opportunities around the environment. My background is an environmental engineer and an environmental geographer. So I had a lot of opportunity to work with all ages, because we had the museum over there, and I was working from, you know, 2 months to 99. And I realized that folks won't necessarily just change, that sometimes they need impetus to change. And mapping was that for me, right? You could look at a map and it could tell you a story almost immediately. So it drove me to go back to school to get my further my degree and get my ArcGIS licenses and things of that nature, which is key to all planning, is to have a map and be able to figure out where you are, what you're doing, and how those different layers of attributes, we call them, interact with one another. Because you could have a project, right? But it could have wetlands, it could have natural heritage, and it could have highway close by. All of those things converge in planning, and without a map, it's really hard to see it. And it tells a quicker story than me trying to write a 100-page, report on it. So to me, it made perfect sense. And then I'm also a floodplain manager. I got certified through FEMA. I worked in many classes, going to Maryland and training exactly with all the different FEMA entities to learn about floodplain management, how best to help residents with insurance questions, and how to best secure their home, and then also the flip side when a disaster occurs. I was working for the town of Situate as their first coastal resource officer, and I was able to do some amazing projects with them, writing the first plan that gave them a coastal look as to how best to approach the type of situation that they are enduring. They see coastal flooding regularly. It's now nuisance flooding in a parking lot that's, full time for residents as well as shoppers, and people's homes are destroyed regularly. So this was a really good opportunity for me. It was at that in Situate that I also was able to work on shoreline protection projects, learning about beaches and beach nourishment, dredging, and I'll have to say there's good dredge project.
Yeah.
It was really hard to do, but yeah, that was a really great opportunity to get my certificate in and floodplain management. They take that very seriously.
I did see in your resume that you were able to through that project, right, reduce some rates for
Yeah, so-
folks, but based on the flood. I pay flood insurance, so
Yeah.
I'm very interested in.
CRS is a program that, when completed, helps residents in the floodplain lower their insurance. It is a heavy lift on a community, but for communities that have a lot of residents in the floodplain, it's a benefit. It's a benefit to the residents so that they can stay in where they are and maybe improve their situation so they don't feel the damage so treacherously.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, I'm not sure if this is really GIS map related, but I did hear about a story this week where I think it was from Plymouth, where they misreported the percentage of affordable housing, which has a big impact on lots of different things, right? And they were down like half. They didn't report half of their. So you need someone who knows how to interpret the data and report that data properly, which I'm sure does come from the GIS maps, right? And
You're spot on.
Yeah.
That did happen, and they are now finding themselves in safe harbor.
Yeah.
So that because of just oversight and then going through the mapping process, they were able to identify other locations within the community that qualified, and then now they were able to report that up to the state.
Which is a huge difference, right?
Huge difference. Yeah,
That's-
huge difference.
So communication styles, I guess. Obviously, I think you have a lot of experience communicating with both public and internally within the different towns you've worked in. I don't know if you want to highlight or anything, speak to any kind of how you think or what your thoughts on different communication styles and how you go about that.
So individually, with other department heads and staff, sometimes you have to meet them where they work.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't expect a DPW or highway surveyor to be able to answer my email within a certain period of time because they shouldn't be sitting. They generally won't be sitting at their desk.
Sure.
So I can't anticipate getting an immediate response. If I need an immediate response, then I have to reach out to them in other forums that work for them. And you generally, you tend to learn that with each individual person. How best is it to speak to them? Is it in person? Is it on the phone? And sometimes it's about the topic as well. I wouldn't want to send an email on something that was more sensitive.
Mm-hmm.
I would want to call someone on the phone and give them information like that. So and you do that with residents as well. I have had the opportunity to work on a project of my own where I was on the other side of the table, which I shared with during my interview process, and it gave me a lot of humbling opportunity to learn how best to treat residents who come before the planning board or the zoning board or to the planning department office, and be able to kind of help and guide them. Really, none of the bylaws are intuitive. They're very difficult for people to understand. So taking that time to speak with them and try to educate them and teach them about what that means for them and their property. So it just depends on the topic, the people that you're working with, and how best. I mean, there's so many forms of communication today. It's hard to keep track of them all, but certainly texting, phone, email are the key tools of our trade today. And I like to believe I'm a good communicator because I also appreciate it when it's told to me too. So I like to be that for others.
So I don't want to take all the questions here. So if you guys have any additional questions,
You have some experience in some small towns and stuff, so I think that's going to be relevant because we are a small town, right? And it has a much different feel, so that truly makes me happy. I guess I envision your job as being something that Selectman Matthews spoke to before, is kind of being that proactive, right? Looking ahead of, with the train coming and different things happening and natural growth. Have you had any successful things that you've done in other towns to help kind of mitigate that so that it can continue to have the small town feel that we all know and appreciate?
It's quite a number of pronged approach, and I can't say I can do it by myself. It is definitely something that has to be done as a team, a team effort, knowing exactly where that growth should occur and how you wish to see it occur. I would be taking cues from all of you to understand how best to do that. And then in places where it should be protected, then there are places and things that we can do to help nurture those as well. I've known Freetown since long before I became a planner. I was an avid mountain bike racer, and I used to use Freetown State Forest as my playground. So often I would be here in the community using your assets and then going to the Assonet Inn for a brew and a stuffy. Not gonna lie, Freetown has been a community that I have spent a lot of time in over the years, and I've enjoyed all the assets that you have. And I think that, you know, small, large, it doesn't matter. You are who you are, and keeping that is very important to everyone, and I'm sure all the residents feel the same way. Yeah,
I know like in the Freetown State Forest. I'll have exchange notes
it's
later on.
great. Yes, I haven't done it. I rode up until I was about 8 months pregnant, and then my friend said, "No, you can't go anymore."
That's
And
good.
that's probably a good idea.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
But it's such a great place to ride,
Absolutely.
and it's a great asset for the community to have the Freetown State Forest here.
Absolutely.
It really
Yeah.
is. Yeah.
Helps the whole character of the town. right?
Absolutely.
So, you know, I always wonder that there's no shortage of opportunities out in the world, right, for your position in particular. So, what was it that selfishly I wonder what is it that drove you to come to Freetown?
It's a two-parter. Your job description was actually spot on. I don't think I've ever seen my position described in the way that was in your job description. So often, communities get the wrong impression about what a town planner can and should do. Where should they be focusing their energies? And much of it lies with the planning and the zoning board, which is definitely key as to the position. But there's so much more. My resume, I think, shows you that. Like, there is so much more a town planner can and should do if allowed. And then the conversation with Debbie Petty, your town administrator, was the second part. That was the part that made me know that Debbie has also been a town planner. She understands exactly what I do. And we had that kind of a rich conversation that made me go, yeah, that spells it out for me. Those are two very key things that very few communities understand.
Well, we're lucky to have her. That's
I think you are, yeah.
So,
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's having Debbie as a town planner, having Victoria, our previous planner,
Yes.
doing so many things for the community. It opens up your eyes what a town planner actually can and can't do, right? And putting it out there in that fashion, you know. And it took us a little while to have you here, right? So waiting for the right person to step in, or one reason or the other didn't work out. So a big believer in taking your time, and things will come in, right? But as a long time traveler through Freetown, have you had any ideas, or you always want to do a pet project in town? You drove around going, I would do something different there. And if so, what would that be?
Oh, that's a really good question. I don't know that I have a high level answer for that question. I don't think I've driven through town with any thought of what I think would be best for the community. I have found and learned over time that the best thing that I can do for the community is for them to tell me what they need for me to do, and me not to dictate to the town what I think you should do. I've definitely had the experience where I have done that in the past, and a younger planner self of mine, and I learned that's not the best approach. That you really need to listen to what the people want, like, and then follow up with those items as best you can, or explain why it can't be quite that way, and maybe we could do this in its place, and would that still satisfy how you envision Freetown becoming, and this, whether it be an area, will it be throughout the community, but yeah, that's the way I would like to approach it.
That's a great answer. Yeah, and the people watching that answer, that's exactly what they're looking for as well. It's easy to, like you said, when you're younger, not that you're not young or old,
Yeah,
but
that's
as in your younger in your career, you're completely
It's all
correct.
good.
it's, you know, you want to do so much, right? You have so much energy and you want to keep going. It's refreshing to hear that you still have that drive, right? And the key is listen to the residents and see what they want and work from there. And using your vast knowledge over the years to give them exactly that. So
Exactly.
perfect answer.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, like, yeah, like, personally, like, I think, things that we should, that I hope you could help us with, that I just don't have the right answers to. Like, we've seen a lot of our restaurants in town go out of business. Soda Inn is an example of that, and a lot of the other ones, like Kathy's Coffee Shop, and over the time.
Yep.
My theory on this, right, is that it's because we don't have city sewer, right, and you can't build a septic to support that.
Yeah.
That's my theory, right? I don't have any hard evidence to so I'd like, I think one thing I'd at least like a directive is how can we, move forward in direction, and maybe it's not that, or it's figure out why these restaurants are not here, and what can we do to get them back, right, and new ones. Also, I think just, our town's not super friendly when it comes to walkability, right? So that's something else I think, I want kids and be able to bike around, and, if there's means a trail network or walking trails, things of that nature, that's something I think would be great to have. And then also the big one though is to prepare ourselves for what will most likely be, I think, a population influx, or at least big traffic impacts that are related to the train, right? That's priority one.
Those are all very, very good top level items to be working
Yeah.
towards. Certainly, restaurants in the community can help with bringing tourism in, bringing people into the community who will spend their good hard earned dollars, and it equates to tax dollars for the town of Freetown. The fact that you have the forest, it's a draw. The Assonet River, that's a draw. But when you get here, if you have no place to go to eat or to dine, those kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah, we can't take advantage of
And you
this.
can't take advantage of that. I
Yeah.
can see where that would be an interest for the community to do. It just helps elevate you, and providing those opportunities for, albeit schools or the down, through the Asona Village and places like that where people could be walking. One of the things I've also kind of begun to believe that walkability and bikeability can happen across not just roads, but through like the Freetown State
Yeah.
Forest or
Yeah.
open spaces where the state has always been interested in connectivity, right? They want to purchase properties next to each other so that it grows the size of the open space that they have. So that also offers residents in those areas who are but those or within, a walking or biking distance could get on that trail within the forest and get to the other side of the town potentially.
Yeah.
Or to another locale within the town where they could go pick up whatever sundry they may need, or go to the library, whatever
Yeah.
they're looking to do.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, it's interesting. Freetown, we're a town of two towns, really. Right? We have East Freetown, which has its little economic center, and then we have Assonet, and they're so
The capital of Freetown.
yeah, and they're far apart from each other, like, right?
Divided by the Freetown State Forest.
Yeah, which is like we have these buildings that are centrally located, but there's nothing really here but these. I used to live like neighborhood right over here, and to tell you, to go get a carton of milk, it's a 15-minute drive each way at least. So that's another kind of something. It's an interesting problem we have, right? And there's no easy solutions here, right? But and any kind of investment that you make in one side of town, you have to kind of offset that by doing something fair for the other side of town. So there's always that balance that takes place, right?
Yeah.
So that's just
We through Debbie received over $1.1 million in grants to do the survey to bring in the sewer line extension, because I am 100% with Selectman Matthews that the reason why we've lost business there rather than gain is due to the fact of not having sewer line extension. But we can run a sewer line down the road, and that's great. But what do we do around it is, one of the talks that we've always had, and that's really where you can come in and helping us, I feel like, with growing how it fits, because to your point before with walkability between those places, and I want to have outsiders come in and look and say that's nice, but I also want our town residents to go there and feel comfortable to, you know, push a stroller down the road or go to dinner from their house and stay in town. So not just draw people from outside, but also keep the people in within.
100%.
So I think that, you know, with your experience, if we do things right, that we can make that happen.
Much depends on where you put the lines. You don't wanna put lines where you don't wanna see more growth. You put lines where you wish to see the kind of growth and development that you're hoping for.
Mhm.
And then you mirror that within the bylaws, so that they're matching all of the things that the town wishes to see.
Yeah.
You can shape it through those processes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and so and obviously the other headwind that we face right now is, you know, our town thus far has voted against adopting the bylaws to put us, you know, in compliance for the transit oriented design. I always forget.
And MBTA.
MBTA, whatever,
Communities
yeah.
Act, yeah.
I think that, you know, so obviously so grants are, you know, they're not getting, you know, they're actually clawing back some grants, right? So that is a headwind that we face. I think that I'll take blame for some of maybe not communicating that how our town I think is in a unique situation where we have an area of land that's already zoned for increased density, right? That we can utilize that piece of land and meet the criteria to be in compliance. Even with the current higher density of this area, it has not been developed at all because of other, you know, just the economic situation there, right? So we kind of have a way to meet the rules without having a large impact, just because the land's either privately owned or owned by folks who have no interest in developing it, or it just doesn't make sense economically, right? Sewer line, lack of that might even be one of those things, which is a little bit of a, you know, double-edged sword, catch-22 are in there. But I think one thing I would like, you know, we need to better communicate and put some, you know, actual maybe some better facts around how we might be able to be in compliance, still get our grants, and not have a huge impact, right? And I think we're in a unique position where we can do that, and I just haven't done a good job articulating that to folks because it's a very unpopular, you know, rules to pass right now, bylaws to pass.
Yeah.
So, and we're not the only ones dealing with
No,
this.
you're not the only one, obviously, that feels that way as well.
Mhm.
The MBTA requirement is to zone it, not build it.
Exactly.
So
And I keep
that
saying
is-
that, but people don't.
Yeah, it's hard to believe that that would be, you know, what the actual ask is to keep the grant open. But yeah, there is some of that, that's, you know, educational potential, yeah.
Yeah.
It is very difficult too. You know, I can certainly sympathize with you know, residents in the community as to the impact that might feel to them, as to how many people will be potentially able to live there.
Mm-hmm.
And without, like you said, without water or sewer, specifically one or the other, it has to be a fairly large site if you're gonna make the water, or if it's missing one or the other, you have to have a large enough site so that you can install those types of amenities. And it's
Yeah.
not something that you can go live without.
Yeah.
It has to be a very large site, because the sewage treatment plant that they would have to build for the types of units that they're looking for is quite large.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's definitely a tough one. You know, especially for a planner. Let's take you for instance. You were very passionate about like your work with the MBTA, and you come to a community like Freetown that, Selectman Matthew said, it's not very popular here. So communicating that might be a little tough, you know, for you. But
yeah.
our job is to give them the facts, right? So we'll take solace in that. Give them all the facts, all of it, the good, bad, and the ugly, and
Right.
hopefully it all shakes out in the end.
They get to decide,
Right.
because it goes to town meeting, so.
Mhm.
Yeah, all you can do is give them all the facts, as you said, and then the residents get to decide, which, you know, I have to say, as being in this position for the years that I have, I appreciate that. Home rule is important, and it shouldn't be disregarded so quickly. I I feel with the residents, like it feels, you know, like maybe some of our ability to do the job is being taken away from us, our ability to make those choices about our community. And I can sympathize with that.
Yeah, they're giving us a choice.
Is
It doesn't really feel like a choice.
Yes.
That's the
So
problem.
yeah, and residents know, then you know,
Yeah,
they know the difference.
Absolutely.
yeah.
And,
Absolutely.
and they should be given, the state should give us all credit for that knowledge of what we want for our communities,
Absolutely.
and hear us say that.
Yep.
I agree. Sometimes easier said than done.
It is. Yes, said it on the webinars.
All right. That's good. Any other questions?
Good.
Always the hardest one. Any questions for us?
Debbie has done a really fantastic job of answering questions, and I feel like I know Freetown as well, and I hope that you would, you know, feel free to guide the process. That's the most important part, is making sure that the guidance is there, so that we're going in the right direction together. I would never want to come into a community and step too far out and then realize, oh, like it's harder to pull it back once it's
Yeah.
gotten too far out there. I certainly wouldn't want to be that type of planner for the community. So guidance would be
I mean, I'll be the first to say we're here as a board, right? So, you know, if you need stuff, you can rely on us. I mean, we're gonna rely on you for stuff, so it does have to be a give and take, so never hesitate, you know, directly to us, through Debbie, Luann, whoever, you know, communicate with us, because we wanna see this work, and we wanna be able to have a, you know, good, long-standing relationship with you, so.
me too.
You come in at a good time. Let's say we move forward and we select you. You know, it's actually a very good time to come work for Freetown in the planning
Yeah.
space. You know, all the departments, but this is for planning. The open space plan has been recently done. The master plan is on its way.
Has a mitigation plan. Oh, yeah.
So there's a lot of things that are
You won't be
there.
bored. You won't be
No.
bored. That's sure.
Yeah.
That's good.
We have active grants that are some are expiring, some are new, some we can renew. So there's a lot of stuff going on, right? So it's kind of fun, right?
Yeah,
If you like that kind of
I
stuff,
do.
and it sounds like right up your alley.
Speaking my language and
Yeah.
singing my songs, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and so much of the grant writing is the backside of the administration of it. It you know, you like, I'll have it on my to-do list, but the to-do list, the actual to-do part of it may change from day to day, but it still continues on until the project is complete, whatever that be, a plan or an actual, you know, infrastructure project or something, you know, small. It doesn't matter, there's still some administration on the backside. I've had a lot of experience doing that, and I like it. I enjoy working through details and things of that nature to help get to the final product.
Absolutely. Like everything you present at a meeting or an interview, those are the things that you've refined and fine-tuned over the course of months, years for that finality of that project. So when you go to a meeting, that's like the next level of information, right? A million other things that have occurred in the background that no one will ever know.
Right.
The countless hours and emails and chasing of things,
Yes.
especially when it comes to funding. So knowing the business and still loving the job speaks volumes. So thank you for your honesty and your candidness.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Then we're good. So thank you very much, Nancy. I
Thank you
appreciate
so
it.
much. I really
you.
appreciate our discussion and this interview process. This has been really lovely meeting all of you. And I think Freetown is well served. Yeah, I've watched your meetings as well before I came, so I was familiar with who you were too. And yeah, that's off to you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, we do appreciate that.
Thank you again. Thank you, Debbie.
Thank you.
Thank you for having a discussion with me, that turned me right into like saying, yeah, this is good stuff. Thank you, Luann too, for helping me.
It's impossible. It's impossible without the way.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
a
yeah.
team effort for sure.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So I think all we have left then is agenda item 7. All right. So it's, I'll entertain a motion to vote to authorize town administrator to finalize details of town planner.
Motion made?
I suck it. That's no brainer.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm ready.
All right.
I am so ready.
So just do some signatures and then we are going. And then we're done, right?
Thank you again.
Thank
I'll be
you.
in touch.
Have a good one.
I'll be in touch soon.
Yes, I understand you need to get out here Wednesday at 4 a.m.
I'll talk to you before then.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure meeting with you all today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Surplus.
We're backlogging.
That's right. It's good to be left-handed sometimes with the book.
Oh, there you go.
It's the recall provision, it has 2 pages.
Yeah, you know I'm gonna mess this one up.
We're not gonna miss that.
Sloppy signature.
Yeah,
Sure, election.
nothing big. That's just.
New bills.
Do you want to recall one? There's
Yes.
2 pages. Here you go. Great.
Thank you.
I feel like an adult. Over your shoulder too.
It's all good.
Keeping us from doing it a third time or a second time or chasing us down. All right. Thank you.
Oh,
That one, ninja.
thank you. We're all set to adjourn.
All right, so with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
A motion made, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.